Gaetan is still not here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
But I have been disconnected and reconnected, so I'm not a co-host anymore, but I guess it doesn't matter.
You can go ahead anytime.
I think Dries will open.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Rump session of FSE 2020. I'm co-hosting it with Bart, who is here, and it's going to be a short but sweet Rump session. Only a few instructions. So first, always get ready before your talk. Then maybe a bit special for this year is that you should avoid using copyrighted material, but you can find a lot of artwork whose copyright has expired. So for example, this one is fine, or also this one. We're good with the copyrights. Respect the time limits. So if you go over the time limit, we will be forced to use coercive measures such as aggressive Greek music or muting and things like that. And you might also be attacked by an angry Greek hero. And we also have a quiz, so you can go to the URL that is here, and it will also be in the chat. There will be a prize if you win, and I have to say, so first, you should submit your answer before the start of the last presentation. That way we can decide the winner and announce it at the end of the Rump session. And I have to show you this picture of a mysterious person related to the history of FSE. And you will need to recognize him for one of the quiz questions. But if you don't recognize him, then you have a hint in the credits that is at the bottom of the page. So you should be able to figure it out in the end. And yes, there will be prizes. They are very competitive this year. Due to shipping costs and so forth, there are only 2 prizes, but there will be one prize for the best score on the quiz, which is, so we thought how to make masks that are cryptographically secure against COVID. And we actually found a solution. So it's not visible in the picture why it's cryptographic, but you will discover why when you receive the prize. And then we also have a prize for the best talk. And for this, we thought we might set some food, but we're cryptographers, right? So we want secure food. So instead of just sending you plain text food, we're going to encrypt it using a device that is state-of-the-art secure. And you will receive this as a prize for the best talk award. And we recommend that you do not try to eat it homomorphically. We do not guarantee the results of attempting to do that. And without further ado, we can begin the Rump session. So just as a reminder, the program is online at this address, and the next presentation is going to be the program chair report. One last thing is, as part of the quiz, you might notice some interesting prestigious participants that we have managed to invite to this Rump session. So for example, right now there is a famous Roman general who is participating in the Rump session. That is normal. And if you identify all 3 of them, then you have an answer to one of the quiz questions. They won't be all there at the same time, by the way. So I think it's Gaetan, the floor is yours.
Yes, so next one up is indeed Gaetan Leroy, joined with Itai and Yusa Saki on the program chair report.
Thank you. Can you see my slides properly?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to give a quick report about the selection of papers for this conference. So as you probably know, or maybe you don't know if you're new to this community, FSE follows a hybrid journal conference model since 2016. And this means we have a journal called TOSC, Transactions of Symmetric Metrology. And this journal is managed by the community, by the IACR, and published by the University of Bochum. We publish high-quality papers, and everything is managed by us, so you don't have to pay anything, you don't pay to publish, you don't pay to read the papers, everything is open access. And I think it's a very good model for us because we really control what we're going to do with our publication. So it's a relatively new journal, so it's not yet indexed everywhere, but this is an ongoing process, and so far it seems to be going properly. So it's already indexed by Scopus and DOAG, and it's on its way to be included in the Web of Science. We have 4 issues per year, so I think this is a better model than conferences for authors, because now you can submit at different times in the year. You don't have to wait just before the conference. And the review process is relatively quick because we give you a decision after 2 months, and then you have to present your paper at the next FSE conference. So we also have more interaction between authors and reviewers than in a typical conference, thanks to this journal-style publication, because we have rebuttals, and we can also give major revision decisions, meaning that you have some recommended changes to make in your paper, and then the paper is evaluated again and will hopefully be accepted. And we also like to have different type of papers that are not typically accepted in conferences, like systematization of knowledge papers, and now also addendum and errata if you have small change to make to previous papers. So as I said, the schedule is very simple. We have 4 deadlines per year, and then you have to present at the next FSE conference. So this looks like this. You can see there's some math formula here with this letter Y. So it's not a Greek letter, but actually in French, this letter is called Greek I. So I think it should count as a Greek letter for the purpose of the rules of a Rump session. So the schedule is very simple, but when you instantiate with 2020, it should be simple, but turns out it's not, because of course the conference was supposed to happen in March, but we had a big wave of COVID, this pandemic hit Europe very bad, and everything was in lockdown in March, so we had to postpone the conference to November. Unfortunately, we now have a second wave of COVID, and there's a second lockdown in Europe, so this conference has to be virtual anyway, and because the conference has been postponed, we also decided to include 2 more issues in this edition of the conference. So Anne will explain to you what we're going to do for the next conference, and probably you can use this as a kind of oracle to predict the next lockdown in Europe, because we've been very spot on for the first lockdown and second lockdown with the dates of the conference. So this year is also slightly different in terms of publication. We're introducing a few new things. The main one is that we have a special issue that we did. So it's the first time we're doing a special issue in TOSC, and we did this for the NIST lightweight standardization process, which is an ongoing process to standardize new algorithm. And we wanted to have some of those algorithms published in TOSC because a lot of time those new algorithms are never published, and we think it's better for the community to have them published. We have also moved the review system to hot CRP, like a number of IACR conferences, and we now allow long papers without a page limit. So if you need a lot of pages to explain your results, feel free to do so, but please also be careful. If your paper is really too long, we can take a long time to review it, and maybe we will just reject it for being too long without properly reviewing it. Also, the page limit for regular papers is 20 pages, but that includes stuff that you put in appendix. Please don't try to cheat. We just see it. It's very easy to see. And finally, we're introducing a reject and resubmit decision for papers that have some potential, but when there are important things to fix, but no clear way to fix them that we could address in a major revision. So the program this year has 64 papers coming from 6 different issues of TOSC, like I explained, plus 12 papers from the special issue. And I'd like to thank all the authors for those high-quality papers. And also for being a bit flexible, because we had to change our plans several times, and everything was pretty nice with this. We also have 2 invited talks by Kazuhiko and Thomas, and I'd like to thank them also for giving these talks in this slightly degraded environment. We also have 2 Ask Me Anything sessions with Johan and Kaisa. So Kaisa's Ask Me Anything session will be on Friday. If you have questions, please ask them as soon as possible on the Zulip chat. It's much easier for us if the questions are asked in advance. So you can just go to the Zulip chat right now and ask any question you want for Kaisa. And finally, I'd like to thank the Rump session chairs, Bars and Brice. Well, I'm sure it will go very smoothly. So I have some statistics about the papers submitted and accepted. You can see we have several waves in the number of submitted papers, but luckily we don't have an exponential curve yet, so I think we will be able to manage the number of papers submitted. In terms of acceptance rates, we have about 32% of papers accepted, but it depends how you count, because this includes major revision. If you only count new submissions, then you have about 40% of papers accepted. In terms of major revision, most of them end up being accepted, but sometimes we also have to reject them. So I would like to thank the program committee because they usually produce very high quality review. I think if you compare the review in TOSC to the review in Crypto or Eurocrypt, we often have much higher quality review. So this is all thanks to them. So we have 2 different program committees this year because we have papers from more than 4 issues. And finally, I'd like to thank all the people who make TOSC possible. So Gregor, who is managing editor, Friedrich, Phil, and Linda, who run all the technical side of things, and Shai and Kevin, who run the submission system. I would also like to thank all the people making the conference possible, and I think Anne will also thank them again, so Christina, Kevin, and Kay in particular. Finally, I'd like to announce the Best Paper Award for FSE. So we have selected a paper from the 4 issues that was supposed to be presented at TOSC 2020. So this doesn't include the 2 extra editions. So of course we plan to announce the result in March, but you know, some elections, sometimes it takes a long time to announce the result because, well, some of the papers didn't do a concession speech, so we had to wait a little bit more. And so the Best Paper Award is given to Yoabin Chen and Lei Wang for that paper on Beyond Birthday Bound Security, revisiting the development of ISO IEC 97971 Max. Maybe they can come on stage and say a few words, but this was really, I think, a really nice paper, and we are very happy to have this paper in TOSC. So, are they here? Yoabin and Lei, do you want to say something?
Yes, I'm here. So
congratulations for your Best Paper Award.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's our honor to let our paper is selected for Best Paper for FSE 2020. Yeah, we appreciate that reviewers like our work, and we will continue to do interesting research in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And so this concludes my talk.
Thanks, Gito, for your talk. Some people might have seen he went over time, but he got permission from us to do so. For all the others that go over time, we will have annoying music at some point.
Yeah.
So please be careful. The next talk is FSE by Anne Canto on behalf of the FSE Steering Committee.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, and can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Also yes.
Okay, so let's start. So hello everyone. As you know, FSE is held every year in March, and the original plan was, as you know, to hold FSE 2020 in March in Greece. But we had to postpone the conference to November, and eventually we had to turn it to this virtual event. So as Gaëtan said, you may wonder what will happen in 2021. and maybe you also want to know when the next lockdown in Europe will be. So it's clear that there is still a lot of uncertainty for 2021, and I'm afraid that it's very likely that most of us won't be able to travel. So for this reason, we have decided that there won't be any FSE conference in 2021. And so for Gaëtan, the excellent news is that we won't have any new lockdown in Europe next year. So instead, what we plan is to have a longer conference in March 2022, where all papers published during the next 1.5 years will be presented. And we hope, of course, that this FSE 2022 will be a physical event, and you will know more about it in a few minutes. So, but even if FSE 2020 is held as a virtual event, everything was already organized last March. So conference rooms, coffee breaks, lunches, social events, banquets. So our general chair, Christina Bura, she had to work hard to organize a physical conference. And this was also at the price of terrible dilemmas, like in a Greek tragedy. Like, should we come to Athens? Should we cancel the conference? Should we postpone it? And then in September, again, should we come to Athens? Should we move to a virtual event? So this leitmotif has inspired actually the most famous playwrights, like Athens or not Athens, that is the question. So thanks a lot, Christina, for the hard work, and to thank you, I give you this virtual plaque, and maybe I should give you 2 of them, one for March and one for November. So because FSE went online, Kevin and Kay became the organizers, and again, as for all ISR conferences, they implemented everything for the pre-recorded videos, for the live sessions, but there's something very special for them at this FSE, which is that they can enjoy Athens by night. So Kevin and Kay, thanks very much for your effort. Thanks also to Gregor Leander and to the whole team in Bochum, who takes care of all the issues related to the publication of tasks. And last but not least, I would like to thank our PC chairs, the editors-in-chief of Task for the last 18 months, Yu Sasaki, Gaëtan Laurent, and Itai Dinour. They did an amazing job, which led to this very nice selection of papers and presentations. So they also deserve this virtual tax. And I have to say that serving as an editor-in-chief is really hard work, because you get a new bunch of paper every 3 months, and this is during 2 years. So each time you have to assign papers, you have to take the decision to handle the notifications, to handle the revisions, and then it starts again with a new bunch of paper. So everyone knows that this is hard work, and this has been widely documented even in ancient Greece. So you have an example here. So thanks again, you, Gaëtan and Itai, and last but not least, thanks a lot to the whole program committee, whose work has been praised by many artists. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne, for the presentation. And next one up is Christina Bura on FSE 2022, the announcement.
Yeah, hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you,
Yeah.
and we see your slides, and we see you.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks a lot, Anne, for the nice presentation. So I'm here to present the next lockdown in Europe. Oh, sorry, next FSE. So as Anne explained, the plan is now to try to have a physical event in March 2022. And actually how it will happen, so just take March 2020 and delete it and copy it actually to March 2022. So the plan is to have exactly the same thing. There will be, so in Athens. And this is also nice because we already have nice music for the Rump session. We already have a lot of nice slides with Greek figures, so everyone can reuse them. The only difference is that for the first time, we'll have a 5-day event. So like we have now virtually, but now it will be the first time that we will have a 5-day physically, because we want to have a lot of papers from 6 different issues. So I also didn't have to do anything for prepare this talk, because I just copied the slides that I used at FSE 2019 to present FSE 2020, and I hope this will not get like an iterative talk. So for those who will not there, I will present you the venue place. So the venue place, it's a hotel. It's called Royal Olympic Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel that is just in the very center, historical center of Athens. So just 14 minutes walk from Acropolis. So it is really nice place. And it has a very nice view. So it also have, of course, the room for the conference. But the most important is that it has a rooftop where we can have lunches there. And so this is in the night, and this is the view of the day. So I hope we will really able to see this one day. And also there's a swimming pool. Yeah. So I didn't say this, but sorry. So we don't have the fixed dates yet. The plan is to have it end of March, and we'll communicate the dates like in 2 weeks or 3. We also have the banquet place. This is also reserved. So this is also a nice restaurant just near Acropolis, very nice view. So you should come, of course. And why you should come, of course, because it's will be nice after all this time to have a physical conference, but also because actually all gifts for FSE 2020 had already arrived at my parents' place. And so I've been left with 200 of these bottles with a very nice Greek liquor, and I cannot drink it by my own. So please come so we can drink them together in 2022. And with the time, this only will get better. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Christina, for the announcement. Next one up is how to win duck-related prizes by the SATORNet team, and the talk will be given by Maria Naya Placentia.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Yes.
And we see
Okay,
you
great.
partially.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to tell you how to win duck-related prizes. So first of all, who am I? I'm Saturnin, and no, I don't know how to pronounce it either. You need to be French for that. So obviously, I am a lightweight duck, and more importantly, I'm a second-round NIST lightweight candidate. In particular, I'm the only candidate based on a block cipher with 256-bit blocks, and the only one claiming quantum security against superposition queries. But you'll hear more about me tomorrow. So let's see what's new now. Oh, sorry. Please, kids, be quiet. Sorry, there's no school today. So in my update, we propose a new instance, Saturnin QCB. It uses a new mode that is Q2 safe, efficient, and parallelizable. And for this, we need related key security. That's why we use my 16-round version. The best related key attack we have found for now covers 10 rounds and is available in a new node in our page. So that's why we want to launch a new challenge, because we want to know more about related key security on me and how far can these attacks get. And we welcome both classical and quantum attacks. The targets are Saturnin QCB and related key attacks on the block cipher. New improved results will be posted and awarded as they arrive. And the winners will have a choice between several DAC-related prizes that will be given in March 2021. So please contact us or visit our page for more information at project.inria.fr/Saturnin/challenge. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Maria, for the presentation, for the nice presentation. And next one up is open source framework for hybrid homomorphic encryption. It's a work by Lucas Helminger, Daniel Kales, Christian Reisberger, and Roman Wach. And Roman will give the talk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you and we see you.
Okay, fine. Hello from my side as well. I'm a PhD student from Graz, usually working on privacy-preserving machine learning, but I have something to share to you that might be of interest for the FSE community as well. And it's an open source framework for hybrid homomorphic encryption. And it's a joint work with Lucas Helminger, Daniel Kales, and Christian Reisberger. Homomorphic encryption, as depicted here on the slides, allows to operate on encrypted data without having access to the secret decryption key. And with the rise of homomorphic encryption, there also came this trend to evaluate symmetric ciphers under homomorphic encryption. And usually homomorphic encryption adds a lot of overhead to the computation. So why would we want to evaluate symmetric ciphers in homomorphic encryption? One reason would be to use the symmetric ciphers to prevent the ciphertext expansion in homomorphic application. And for more details on that, I want to refer you to the talk on Duster, a symmetric cipher specifically designed for this use case, and this was given on Monday here at FSE. And with this application, there's a new metric relevant for designing symmetric ciphers. Usually in the HHE libraries, performing an homomorphic AND operation is much more costly than performing a homomorphic XOR operation. And also the consecutive number of AND operation contributes very severely to the overall performance of the HHE scheme. So usually the symmetric ciphers designed for this use case try to optimize for those metrics. So what is the status so far for hybrid homomorphic encryption? There are many candidate symmetric ciphers proposed in the literature, all optimized for these new metrics. But there also exist many different homomorphic encryption libraries, and some of them have completely different metrics which contribute to their overall performance. But right now, there is no meaningful comparison done between those ciphers, so it's very hard for us to answer the following question. Which scheme is actually best suited for which metric, and consequently, which scheme is best used in which homomorphic encryption library? And usually in these ciphertext expansion prevention use cases, after we homomorphically evaluate the symmetric cipher, there's also a use case evaluated under homomorphic encryption. And this use case also contributes to the multiplicative depth of the overall computation. And we also want to ask this question, how does this use case actually affect the choice of the underlying cipher? And to answer this question, we build an open source framework in which we implement all these candidate ciphers and in different homomorphic encryption libraries, and which makes it very easy to compare the performance of these ciphers in the different use cases. Also, we want to compare the ciphers with an actual use case afterwards from a real world. For example, a use case from privacy-preserving machine learning. For example, where we apply a linear regression to identify handwritten digits, and these handwritten digits would be homomorphically encrypted. And we also want to make it very easy to integrate new designs into our frameworks so that the symmetric cipher designers can easily evaluate and compare their designs to the state of the art. So what's been done so far in our framework? We've implemented a lot of candidate ciphers which are specifically designed for this use case in 3 different homomorphic encryption libraries. So the ciphers we already implemented are Raster, ArcRaster, Philip, Trivium, and LoMC. And the homomorphic encryption libraries we are targeting are the FastC library by Microsoft Research, the commonly used HElib, and the Doros-based FHE library, DFHE. And we have also done some small benchmarks yet. So on what are we going to do next in the framework? Well, we have to implement some more ciphers, for example, the Duster cipher, which has been proposed here at FSE and presented on Monday. And we also want to do more extensive benchmarks to give a real comparison of all these ciphers. Also, for the ciphertext expansion prevention use case, there's an orthogonal work proposed in literature. It's the paper Efficient Conversion Between Ring LWE Ciphertext. And we also want to compare the symmetric ciphers to this approach. And once we are done with that, we will publish the source code so everyone can, who is interested can have a look at it and use it in the real world. And we will publish it at our GitHub here at this link. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Roman. You are perfectly in time, thanks to the Greek characters that you used in your presentation.
You're welcome.
A gentle reminder that if you want to hand in the quiz, you only have 3 more talks to go because you have to finish it before the last serious talk. Next talk is a comparative ASIC synthesis benchmarking of a group of NIST lightweight crypto candidates. It's a work of Mustafa Garaila, Thomas Perrin, and Anupam Chattopadhyay. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Mustafa will give the talk.
Thanks for the introduction. I will talk a little bit about our ongoing ASIC benchmarking efforts for the NIST LWC candidates. And this is joint work with Thomas Perrin and Anupam Chattopadhyay. So when the NIST released a call for lightweight cryptographic algorithms, they said that they want designs that work across different platforms, including hardware, embedded software. And for hardware, they identified ASIC and FPGA, and they said that the designs should be considered for a wide range of standard cell libraries. And we have, a while ago, we have noticed that there is not a lot of work on the benchmarking on the ASIC standard cell libraries. There is work on FPGAs and embedded software. But we have noticed that the results doesn't usually map to the ASIC. The situation can be different. So we decided.
I don't see a screen, is that correct?
Sorry?
I see a black screen. I don't see your presentation.
Okay, let me try again. What about now?
Maybe it's just me, but I see a black screen.
Maybe someone else, I don't know.
So I also see a black screen.
I also do.
So maybe try once more, otherwise we move you a little bit to the end. So one more attempt. So yes, thanks, Christoph. That's a good suggestion. So let's just continue. Okay. And now it's black again. So
okay.
Yes, now it's there.
Okay, thanks. So we started to think about how to approach this and what would be a reasonable goal for such benchmarking. Should we compare the performance on like reference implementations? Should we take some designs and try to optimize them? Is our end goal is to rank different designs, or is it to compare optimized performance? And we found that while this all is valid, the resources are limited. And since we want to have a benchmarking on the same platform, it's hard to address these goals when we have a lot of designs in the current state of the composition. So what we did is that we said, okay, we have different levels for the ASIC Flow.
Mustafa, you're gone again. So I would suggest we continue, and then in the end we restart with you. Is that okay?
Okay,
then
sure.
We continue with the next talk of Jan, and then we will move you to after Christian Rijsberger.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I'm sorry. So next we go to Jan Rotella. We will talk about Camille Nou, if I'm pronouncing it. So the Dutch are known for their mispronunciation of French words.
It's a Greek word.
It's Greek.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also not good at Greek. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, so thanks. I will talk about Camille Nou, and it's an author, a researcher that you might see in the next month appearing in some papers, either in crypto or from any disciplinary or any nationalities that's fully delocalized. That's the affiliation of Camille Nou, which is the laboratory COGITAMUS. And actually, the goal is to put brands on some papers about the ethic of research. And that's an initiative that comes from French researchers, that comes from, I think, social sciences. I'm not really aware of. I just wanted to share this initiative because some researchers were not happy with how we are graded in terms of researchers, in terms of number of papers, in terms of where the papers are published. But I might say that, as Johan said, what matters is to build something that is good and that is beautiful at the end. So actually, the idea is to look at this bibliometric metric is really bad for some obvious reasons. I wanted to share it here because we have this TOSC journal, which is, I think, a nice, very nice stuff. And I think the community, symmetric cryptography community, could be ethic. And so if you're interested, you can go to this webpage, cogitamus.fr/index english.html, and you can have any information you have. So basically, the idea is that probably if you co-author with a Camille Nou, which does not really exist, you might be a co-author of someone that has more citations than Johan Demon with the AES paper in maybe 1 or 2 years, because many researchers we'll put this Caminu as a quota. The nu stands for we in French, but also stands for this ancient Greek, which means that we are sometimes equated to intellect or intelligence. More or less, it's the reason or the good mind. So that's an initiative to show a point, mainly to show a point about this bibliometric and the number of citations. And that's what I wanted to say. It's serious, but I think it's a nice initiative to share all over the world, not only in France. That's it for me.
Thanks, Jan, for the presentation. Next one up is support Kangaroo 12 at CFRG. Of Benoit Figuet, Gilles Van Asch, and Johan Dama, and Johan will give the talk. And we see your slide, we don't hear you, is that correct?
Sorry, I was still muted. Do you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you and we see you and we see the slides.
Yes. So Gilles, Benoit and I, we want you to support Kangaroo 12 at CFRG. So what's Kangaroo 12? You probably know what COGITAMUS is. So it was our submission to the NIST Chatry competition, and it got, we submitted in 2008. It was chosen in 2012, and it became a standard FIPS 202 in 2015, and adoption has been rather slow. And now we made something, so there were two excuses, let's say, that we heard for not adoption. That's first one, that it's slow, supposedly slow. And second is that it doesn't support parallelism because the sponge is basically serial. And for that, the answer to those excuses is actually Kangaroo 12. And Kangaroo 12 is something that we are now pushing at CFRG, which is, I don't know what the letter word stands for, but it is the organization where you go when you want to have an internet standard, like TLS 1.3 or IP, for instance. Okay, let's look at the next slide. So the speed problem. So if you look at COGITAMUS, it has actually been published in 2008, and ever since there has been a lot of cryptanalysis. And the nominal number of rounds in COGITAMUS, or equally in the all Chatry hash functions, also the shake ZOFs, is 24 rounds. And if you look at cryptanalysis, we see that actually the furthest that there are distinguishers is 9 rounds. The sim sum is something like a 0 sum. It's quite complicated distinguishers, and the furthest we get an actual collision attack is 5 rounds for a capacity of 256. So we think that maybe this 24 rounds is a bit too much. It was more like historical, and if we would do it now, we would go for 12 rounds. So can we reasonably reduce to 12 rounds? We think we can, to cite a previous US president. Then the parallelism, well, there's a lot of parallelism available on modern CPUs, like SIMD instructions with growing widths, ever growing widths, multiple cores. Let's try to exploit this parallelism. And we do that by a technique that we call, tree hashing, where we use a technique called kangaroo hopping, and that's where the name comes from. In case you're curious where the name comes from, this 12 is the number of rounds. And Kangaroo 12 is basically a tree hashing mode where the inner hash function is just shake 128, but reduced to 12 rounds. So these arrows here are shake 128, and each of these is a part of the message. So you split your message into 8,000 byte blocks, and you can process these all in parallel. And the kangaroo hopping is the thing here, but you can actually read about it in our paper at ACNS 2014, and Kangaroo 12 was published in ACNS 2018. And you see here that you get quite some good speed. So to have the actual world try to adopt this thing, because if you have a paper at ACNS, it's not necessarily going to be adopted, we propose it as a RFC at CFRG. And that is now in a quite final stage. So it's now a draft, and CFRG issued a two-week last call, and that actually ended on Monday, but they don't look at these deadlines so strictly for reaction. And there it's important that we get some reactions of some credible people that say, this is good, yeah? So that's where you come in, because you are the community that should be able to say something meaningful about this. So if you think that Kangaroo 12 has a good safety margin in the light of cryptanalysis that you did, or some people that you know did, or that you think it is really the case, then you can speak up and send a mail to the CFRG mailing list. Or if you think that K12, Kangaroo 12 has sound design and sound components, or if you think it would benefit the community, to have this fast hash function. Please support us by sending emails to CFRG mailing list. Thank you. I think you're muted, Bart.
Yeah, I just said I'm muted, but you didn't hear that because I was muted. Thanks for the presentation. A gentle reminder that you have one more talk to submit your quiz questions because we shifted one talk. So next one is update on the LowMC Picnic cryptanalysis competition by Christian Reisberger.
All right. Hi. Hello, everybody. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we hear you. We don't see your slides. We see you.
Oh, all right. Let me try again. How about now?
Yes, now we see your slides.
Right. So great to see so many of you here live despite the pandemic. So the purpose of this talk here is a brief update on this ongoing cryptanalysis competition around LowMC and Picnic. Just a brief recap. So LowMC, what is that? It's a special purpose cryptographic permutation or cipher with the distinct feature of having very few AND gates. What is Picnic? Picnic is a signature scheme based on some MPC techniques, and it's part of the currently ongoing NIST effort to select the next generation of public key encryption and signature and key exchange standards. It's recently advanced to the 3rd round. And the nice feature is that it's a design that bases its security on the only hardness assumption of the underlying symmetric primitive, in this case, LowMC. Compared to, let's say, RSA signatures or ACC signatures, the signature sizes are much larger. And that's basically the trade-off that you get with this reduction of assumptions. So in order to incentivize more cryptanalysis of LowMC, especially in this particular setting that LowMC is used inside Picnic, we've started this cryptanalysis challenge, thanks to nice sponsoring from industry like Microsoft and IOV. So the special setting here is that as an attacker, you're only given a single plain text ciphertext pair. And the challenge that we pose is twofold. LowMC can be used in different ways. One of them, perhaps the more classical one, is that you have a full nonlinear layer. And there we challenge you to find the best attack on 2, 3, or 4 rounds. So this is a very small number of rounds, also given the fact that the nonlinear layer is only of degree 2. And LowMC has also the property that you can trade off numbers of rounds with S boxes per round. So you can have a design that we believe is equally secure, but has less S boxes per round, but then needs more rounds. And for this, we have a separate section in our challenge. And both are equally relevant also for this use case here. The challenge is ongoing already. We have already announced the winners of the first round. These were Supradeep Pantik, Kashaya Paroti from EPFL, and Serge Vodene from EPFL, and Betül Turak from Bosch Research. They described an approach that works both in the full S-box case as well as in the partial S-box case for the 2-round version. So they're winning 4K euros. Of course, the paper is online and you can find it at this link. So we are now in the middle of this second round of this challenge. As I mentioned before already, the challenge is to find the attacks on 2, 3, and 4 rounds of the full nonlinear version or respective variants for the partial nonlinear case. In total for this round, we have up to 22,000 euros up for grabs. Deadline is fairly soon. Actually, we set it for just before AsiaCrypt. So there's only 3 weeks left. But the point is, this is going to be an ongoing effort. As long as the money is not spent, we plan to have similar rounds. Yeah, for all the rules and more updates, just have a look at this website. So even if you don't believe in this particular use case, As you all mentioned on Monday already, doing this type of analysis may help to learn us, may help us to learn more about symmetric crypto at a rather foundational level. So I hope you find some interest in that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the presentation and for opening up all this money. So now the quiz closed. I think Brice will do some analysis to see who's the winner. In the meantime, we have one more talk, and so I would like to give a second chance to Mustafa. I hope it works now. So now I see myself.
Now?
I don't like that.
I will try this way. This
yes.
way.
Yes, maybe it's just start over again because some parts were not. Okay, let's try. So Mustafa Karaila with Thomas Perrin and Anna Anupam, a comparative ASIC benchmarking of a group of NIST lightweight crypto.
Thanks again. So as I said, I will describe some of the efforts and challenges surrounding the ASIC benchmarking of the NIST LWC schemes and its joint work with Thomas Perrin and Anupam Chattopadhyay. So as I said before, the NIST, when they released the call for lightweight cryptographic algorithms, they mentioned that they want algorithms that work on both hardware and embedded software. And for hardware, they specify both ASIC and FPGA, and require that we should consider a wide range of standard cell libraries. However, we have identified that there is not a lot of work on comparing these schemes on ASIC, while there is a lot of work on comparing them on FPGA or microcontrollers. And we have noticed that the results doesn't always follow the same patterns. So we have started thinking about how to approach ASIC benchmarking, whether we should compare the reference implementation or optimize some designs, or is our end goal to reach a definitive ranking? And we have found that all these goals are valid, but they cannot all be achieved because the resources are limited, and we have a lot of designs currently and not a lot of time. So we have identified 3 levels where you can do ASIC benchmarking. Either you can do at the front end level, which is like the logic level and gate level, and it's not very accurate, but in a comparative way, it gives you an idea about how different algorithms behave, and usually the same patterns will follow in the other levels. And it's fast, and we can include more designs. The back end level is the layout level or the transistor level. It's more accurate, but it's slower and has a lot of details. So it's good for a second degree analysis, like in the 3rd round of the competition. And finally, you can have a tape out analysis, which is the actual silicon in the real life. And this is the most accurate, but this is expensive and infeasible currently. So we have released a call for designers to send their implementations. We have received 10 designs, which is quite more than we expected, honestly. And these designs, they cover 10 candidates, but they're actually 36 implementations, and we need to synthesize 576 design points. And actually, in the last 2 days, this number even increased because we receive other implementations for ISAB and another implementation for Subterranean. And most of these designs were sent to us very late, so we didn't have a lot of time to analyze them as we would have intended initially. And this is partly due to the COVID pandemic. Consequently, we had limited time. And another problem is that they are designed by different designers, which means different levels of optimization and different quality of the code. So the conclusion from these slides would be that these results should be taken with a pinch of salt, because they are only evaluating what the implementations can do, not what the actual algorithms can do if you have a optimized implementation. So we have decided, as I said, in the round 2 phase, we will reduce the accuracy, we will explore the space more, include all the designs we receive, include all the implementation we receive, and study different trade-offs. While hopefully in round 3, we will improve the accuracy by studying the designs at the back end, at the layout level, and try to work with the designers to optimize the implementations and also study the performance of protected implementations. These are the designs that we received at the time when I did these slides. And as you can see, some designs have only one implementation like Ascon, some designs like Gimli
Hello?
Not sure what happened there.
Now you're back. We see your slides, we don't hear you. We see your mouse moving, we don't hear you. Now
Now?
you're gone. Yes, now we hear you.
Okay. I was saying we did the census over 2 standard cell libraries for now, TSMC 65 nanometer and FDSI 28 nanometer. And we used the Synopsys design compiler for the census, and it's 2019 version, so it's quite recent. And this is the results we get for all these designs. You will notice that first thing, BijaMask is missing from the list I presented earlier, because BijaMask implementation was really quite big and quite small, so it was not very good to be included here. And maybe the algorithm is not suitable for this use case, or maybe the implementation is not very good. That's like up for research. And here I present the results for the energy times area metric, or non-otherwise latency times power times area metric for short messages. And we can see that some designs behave really good for short messages, while, for example, if we go for long messages, the ranking changes slightly and the differences change. So, for example, Subterranean is very good for both long and short messages, while some other designs have different performance. And as I said, these results only show the quality of the implementation, not the quality of the algorithm. So that's up for further investigation, but they give us an idea of how these algorithms behave in ASIC. And we already published one report, but it didn't include all the implementations. So we're currently working on the final report, where we will explain all these differences, and we will include other metrics like throughput over area or only area. So we will target different use cases. We will also target use cases that don't require very high speed. And all these details will be shortly published in the final report for the round 2 process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mustafa, for the presentation. So finally it worked. This concludes the presentation, so please thank all the speakers somehow. I think Brice should still compute things, so let's just play some waiting music. I don't know when it will get annoying. So Brice, are you ready?
Yeah, well, I have good news. You can stop the music. We already have the results. So give me just a second to share this screen. So we have 2 winners to announce. For the highest quiz scorer, actually, it's easy because there is one person who got a perfect score, all 9 answers correct, and that is Gaëtan Laurent. So congratulations. The next best score is 7. So I was worried about ties, but there was no need. And it took a bit more time because some people put non-ASCII characters in the field, so my script crashed. And for the best talk, after a dissertation with the Rump session committee, we decided that the best talk award would be given to a duck called Saturnin. So I hope that the duck can find a good use for a COVID mask. I understand that ducks can catch COVID, but they can't.
But the price would be different, right? I don't know.
Sorry?
I thought that the mask was for the...
Oh, did I mix up the 2 prizes? Oh yeah, the mask is for the quiz, right?
Yes, the crypto mask will be for...
Oh yeah, right. So the duck will have encrypted food. We'll try to find food that is suitable for ducks. And with that, we close the Rump session. So thank you to everybody who participated. And we'll see you for the rest of FSE.
Great. Thanks a lot, Bart and Brice, and all the participants for a very enjoyable Rump session. And also thank you to all the participants of the day. And yeah, like you said, we will see you again tomorrow. So bye for now.
Bye. Thanks to all of you.
I just wanted to mention that the social event, you can go back to the link in the program that says join the party, and you can join the social event if you wish to. It's still open.